Hey, what's up YouTube? Today we're looking at Finalmouse most recent and final drop. And what does that mean? Well, it seems like Finalmouse is finally leaving the gaming peripheral market for sneakers, and this is effectively their last and final mouse we will ever see from them. And so Finalmouse with its final mouse getting full circle here, guys. Now, in case you haven't been in the loop, I kind of want to fill you in what's going on with Finalmouse and talk a bit about the hype with this company. So if you haven't been sleeping under a stone lately, you've probably noticed the wave of honeycomb lookalike mice that came from nowhere about a half a year ago. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe that the starting point that all started this was when Ninja aka Tyler Blevins announced that he was collaborating with Finalmouse to bring something new and interesting to the market. The result was the R58 Ninja, and soon after release many top streamers started using it, including Tfue and Cloaksy, which made it very popular in a short amount of time. And what made the R58 58 was the ambidextrous design, the top performing sensor, but probably more importantly the featherlight weight of just 58 grams. There's a lot of numbers here. Anyway, it has always kind of been their hallmark in a sense. They have been surfing this wave longer than anybody else. Their decision of only manufacturing a few thousand mice did, however, leave a massive amount of gamers empty-handed, hence why we are now all of a sudden starting to see a massive wave of mice with holes in them starting to pop up on the market. But if the word hype could have been patented, Finalmouse would have owned the rights for it. Let's just say that the hype for the Ultralight 2 Cape Town has been kinda crazy. I think most of the hype came from the fact that Finalmouse was tweeting pretty early on that they would bring in something new to the market, and something so special we never seen before, something so unique and special that it would be impossible to even believe it. And on top of that, they had managed to make it even lighter somehow. How did they do this? Well, they made it smaller and they included some foam to let you customize the shape a bit, which really wasn't that groundbreaking, and to me, I was a bit disappointed, but we're gonna get back to that in a few seconds. On screen you can actually see the size specs as well as the weight difference between some of Finalmouse's recent mice. Let's start with something unusual as the switches. Now, these are the most tactile switches I've ever encountered in a mouse. I've gotta say, I was surprised when I realized that they have definitely done something to the switches this time, but if you take the top off and compare it to the R58, it seems like they went with the same arm and switches, but trust me, they do feel a lot more crisp this time around. I like it, especially the scroll wheel. There's no miss sounds here, there's no rattle. It is fantastic, and this is what it sounds like. But yeah, let's move on to the sensor. So usually you find all specs and all that good stuff either on the package the product came in the documentation inside the box, or on the website. But this is Finalmouse, and Finalmouse doesn't share any specs anywhere it seems. And if you go to their Twitter account, you get the impression that they do not take themselves that seriously, and I don't see a problem with that. But based on previous drops, we do know that the PMW 3360 from Pixart has been used quite frequently, and to no surprise, that is the sensor we find in Cape Town also. Now, in terms of DPI or CPI, technically the sensor tops out at 10K, but Finalmouse only lets you go as high at 3200, which is still plenty. Now, in terms of pulling rate, it's specified to go as high as 1000 Hz, but for some reason both the R58 and the Ultralight 2 tops out at 500. Now, in order to get a better understanding what pulling rate does, let's look at what 1000 Hz numbers actually mean. So 1000 Hz means 1000 times a second, and this means you only get 1 millisecond delay between the pulse. 500 Hz would therefore mean 2 millisecond response and 2 milliseconds delay between the pulse. And it's a pretty nifty tool that lets you do this testing, and I'll link it up down below, guys, if you want to test this out. Here is the Model O, for example, from Glorious PC Race, which clocks in at 1000 Hz Hz, and this is the older Finalmouse Ultralight Pro, which also maxes out at 1000 Hz. Lower is theoretically better. Honestly, I was thinking of making a video comparing 500 versus 1000 Hz pulling rate, but I wasn't sure whether that would make it a fun video to watch or not, and honestly, after been spending about 2 weeks with this puppy, I am honestly unable to notice the difference between 500 and 1000 Hz. But the problem I see here, why not let people make the final choice what DPI settings to use and let them set the things like pulling rate and lift off distance. Let me explain what I'm talking about. Glorious PC Race actually has a very solid software that lets you dial down on these sensor settings, and this kind of brings me over to Finalmouse's first shortcoming, the lack of sensor customization on a market that is already so saturated, whereas pretty much everything looks the same and everybody is copying each other. These small things makes the product stand out. I'm not gonna go as far as calling a lack of software a deal breaker, but I wouldn't want to see a market where these options get taken away from us as an end consumer. But yeah, with that said, let's talk about the shape. I think both Finalmouse and Glorious are onto something beautiful here with this ambidextrous design choice, and they do also feel very similar in the hand as well, at least if you would compare the R58 against the Model O. Now there are definitely differences here. Finalmouse body has generally sharper edges, whereas the Model O is a bit smoother in that department. The Finalmouse is also a little bit higher, and the highest top of the mouse can be found a little bit further towards the bottom compared to Model O, where you find this tippity top towards the center, making the slope towards the bottom end of the Finalmouse a little bit steeper, making the front of the mouse a little bit shallower, again compared to Model O, which has the best shape then. While it all comes down to your personal preference here, I would say that both works equally good for pretty much all grip types. Personally, I am a palm gripping guy. I have no problem using my palm grip on either of these two, and that would have been the case for the Ultralight 2 also, if it wasn't for the fact that Finalmouse decided to shrink the Ultralight 2 so much, which made the Ultralight 2 so much more difficult to grip in a comfortable way. I also mentioned this during the unboxing I did a few weeks ago, when I realized that it was when everything started to sink in. I started to realize how they managed to drop the weight by 10 grams. I do however find 47 grams impressive, but considering how small this is, makes it impossible for me to grip in a comfortable way. Luckily, Finalmouse got us covered, guys. This is something that I've never seen before. It's called the Infinity Skin. It's sort of cutouts and foam composites, and you can apply this on the body of the mouse, and it gives you not just a better grip, it also adds more size, but yeah, it also adds a bit more weight. The Infinity Skin sounds very cool, but essentially it's stickers that you put on the body of the mouse to give it a bit more body size and make it heavier. It does look a bit cool, and I love customization, don't get me wrong, but this is essentially stickers with glue that essentially will wear off as time goes on. Thanks to a lot of gamers posting pictures on Twitter, I've seen lots of evidence of the foam getting stained, and it will most likely not look this good in 6 months. Anyway, this Infinity Skin comes in 3 different sizes. We got 1.2mm, 2mm and 2.5mm, and each include one set for each side, one for the top and one for the back of the mouse. Now I don't know guys, I might not be the right person for this product. I don't like to stick stuff onto my mouse. I don't think this is a long-lasting solution. You can actually start seeing areas of the foam already starting to fall off after about 2 weeks of use here. And I gotta be honest here, I'm not using the Ultralight 2 any longer, but it's not the skin that made me stop using the Finalmouse. This mouse is extremely small. It's insanely small, in fact. Yeah, I do get that this is what many gamers have been asking for, a lightweight, small, ambidextrous mouse, and in that department, this mouse rocks. For me, however, I like to palm grip my mouse, and it just doesn't work on the Cape Town. Even with the Infinity Skin, I need a lot more size in order for my palm to touch the top of the mouse, but I can't do this with this mouse. I'm essentially forced to finger grip in the mouse against my will, so to speak, which just makes everything feel very uncomfortable. The feet, however, this time Finalmouse went with a new percentage of mixture of PTFE, and the results is, yeah, they are perfect perfectly on point, but for me it doesn't matter. The Finalmouse Ultralight to Cape Town is a cool idea, and if you're looking for something very small and lightweight with top performing sensor and a fantastic scroll, nice cord and tactile switches, you probably gonna love this. But if you got bigger hands, or if you like me prefer a palm grip, you definitely, you wanna look elsewhere. But to answer the question, is it worth it? Well, because they're already sold out, you might not be able to find it on the used market. I wouldn't bother. Glorious actually has a Model O- coming out right now with similar specs like this one for pretty much half the price. I paid for this $120 US. Yeah, that's a lot. I don't think it's worth it. Move on, guys, don't think about this one again. There are so many great options on the market right now, but if you bought this mouse, I would love to hear your opinion on it. And that pretty much wraps up this video. Thank you so much for watching. Now, if you have any questions, as always, drop them down below. I'm gonna do my best to help you guys out. In the meantime, watch either of these two videos for more awesome content. Until next time, you guys have an awesome day, alright?